So what happens when your boss is also your father-in-law and he's totally cheating you? Today, we're digging into a story from the book of Genesis that seriously has it all. We're talking high-stakes family drama, a midnight escape, and a super tense standoff. And trust me, this isn't just some dusty old story. It's a really powerful look at work, family, and knowing exactly when it's time to draw a line in the sand.
I want to start with a question that I think for a lot of us might hit a little too close to home. Have you ever tried to mix family and business, only to realize, yeah, that was a recipe for disaster? Well, that is the exact sticky situation our main character Jacob finds himself in.
All right, so for years, Jacob had been working for his father-in-law, a guy named Laban. But this was not a healthy, happy work environment. Nope, it was more like a pressure cooker of jealousy and deceit, and things were just about to boil over.
So here's the deal. Jacob was really good at his job. He was making Laban a lot of money, and he himself was becoming prosperous. But instead of earning him respect or a pat on the back, his success just stirred up a ton of envy. Laban and his sons started looking at him differently with real hostility, and suddenly, the family business turned into a completely toxic workplace. Now get this. Just to understand the scale of how bad it was, the source text gives us a specific number, 10. Laban changed Jacob's wages 10 times. This wasn't just some small disagreement over a contract. This was a relentless, calculated pattern of exploitation, and it was coming from his own father-in-law. And this is the moment everything changes. Jacob's trapped in this awful situation, and then he gets a divine command. He's told not only to go back home to the land of his fathers, but he's also given this promise, I will be with thee. This was the green light. This was the permission he needed to finally make a move.
So with that divine assurance, Jacob doesn't just, hand in his 2 weeks' notice. He can't. He knows Laban would never let him, his daughters, and all his wealth just walk away. So he plans a secret escape, gathering his family and everything he owns to flee in the middle of the night.
But right in the middle of this dramatic getaway, Jacob's wife, Rachel, does something completely out of left field and honestly something very risky. It's an act that is going to nearly bring disaster down on all of them. She steals her father's household gods, these little idols. And this right here is the central mystery of the entire story. Why would she do that? I mean, it seems like such a bizarre and dangerous thing to grab on your way out the door. Was it about money? Was it about power? Or something else entirely? People have been debating this for centuries. Let's look at the main theories. One idea is that having these idols was kind of like holding the deed to the family estate. It was a way to secure her inheritance. Another theory is that she thought these little statues offered some kind of real physical protection for the dangerous journey ahead. Or maybe it was just a sign that her own faith was a little muddled, that she was still tied to the traditions and gods she grew up with. Well, of course, Laban finds out that not only is his family gone, but his gods are gone too. He is furious. He gets his men together and chases after Jacob for 7 straight days. He finally catches up to them in the mountains of Gilead, and it all leads to this massive, explosive confrontation.
And Laban does not mince words. He basically ignores the fact that his daughters and grandchildren just fled from him and goes straight to what he really seems to care about. He accuses Jacob point blank, "Why did you steal my gods?"
Now this is where it gets really intense. Jacob has absolutely no idea that his favorite wife, Rachel, is the one who took them. So feeling completely innocent and totally outraged by the accusation, he makes this terrifyingly rash vow. He tells Laban basically, search everywhere, and whoever has your idols, let them not live. He unknowingly just pronounced a death sentence on his own wife.
Oh, you can just feel the tension as Laban rips through the camp, searching every single tent. But Rachel is clever. She takes the idols, hides them in her camel saddle, and then just sits on top of it. She tells her father she can't get up, and just like that, the search comes up empty. Her secret is safe.
Okay, so with Laban unable to find his stolen property, the whole dynamic shifts. The explosive anger kind of cools down, but the trust between them is completely shattered. There's no going back to the way things were. So they have to figure out a new plan. They decide to make a formal agreement to just go their separate ways.
So their solution is to create what's called the covenant at Mizpah. And to do this, they pile up a big heap of stones. You have to remember, in a world without lawyers and signed contracts, this is how you made a deal stick. That pile of rocks would serve as a physical, permanent witness to their agreement. It was a serious, binding contract.
And this right here is the key to understanding what really happened. On the surface, it might look like a handshake, a family making up. But it wasn't that at all. This covenant wasn't a bridge to bring them back together, it was a wall to keep them apart. It was basically a non-aggression pact, a formal boundary line saying, you stay over there and I'll stay over here.
And then Laban says these famous words, which are so often mistaken for some kind of warm, fuzzy blessing. In this context, it is anything but. He's not saying, oh, may God lovingly look after you while we're apart. He's saying, may God act as a watchdog to make sure you stay on your side of this line and I stay on mine. It is a statement rooted in total mutual distrust.
And that leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought. We spend so much time talking about building bridges in our relationships, but this ancient standoff suggests that sometimes, the healthiest, the safest, and the most necessary thing you can possibly build is a boundary. Sometimes a barrier is actually more valuable than a bridge.